So today's guest is Dev Bijlani. He's currently leading growth in the US at Visory, where he's building out both sales and marketing as they expand into the US. Before that, he's worked across companies like Pinterest and Accenture, and lately he's been deep in building AI-driven marketing systems where growth, branding, and execution are all heading. Dev, I'm really excited to have you here. Welcome to Fully Managed.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys very much for having me. Very excited to get started.
So let's start in the beginning ish. Because you went from structured systems, to at Accenture and Pinterest to building the US market from scratch, basically, advisory. I'm curious, what's one belief about growth that didn't survive that shift?
Didn't survive the shift. Yeah. Yeah, it's actually really interesting. I would say the biggest thing that I had to learn is when I was working in like the larger companies, when we were selling for Pinterest itself, it fundamentally was just a different process all the way from marketing to sales. And I think the biggest differentiator that I noticed was brand. It's if you strip down all growth and all sales all the way to like first principles, you're essentially doing the same thing. Whether you're in a small business or a larger business, you're either reaching out to people one to one or you're reaching out to people one to many, whether it could be like direct outreach or content, whatever the case may be. The really only difference between the two and how those companies have gotten so big was their brand that they developed over time. And so I think the belief that I had to relearn was initially I was just trying to bring across my processes and systems that I'd learned there and be like, yeah, cool, let's just run that here and it'll work the same. It was a harsh reality that wasn't the case. And I had to realize that, yeah, there's a reason why they could approach customers the way that they did. And the difference was that customers that they were approaching and then customers that were in the sales process, once you got deeper into it, had been framed very differently on their brand and they knew who they were. So you can take a very different approach when going about things like that. Whereas when you're starting fresh, especially in a new country as well, where no one knows you, you have a weird Australian accent, which makes people trust you a little bit differently. Yeah, you really have to go back to how do we still get sales and how do we still get leads through marketing without having that brand? But then also there is no pathway forward unless we start to build a brand like those bigger companies have.
That's so interesting. And I always find it so interesting that I don't know if I'm going to pronounce this word correct. It really struggles. The dichotomy. It's like a dichotomy, like two things.
Oh, dichotomy. Yeah. You were close.
Dichotomy. Yeah. Thank you. I had never been able to pronounce it.
No, you did great.
Of sort of, as we learn, we have to unlearn so many things at the same time, So I think, especially in the aspect of growth, it was a bit quite interesting to, navigate, learning and it's in a new country, like you mentioned, a different culture, unlearning things that you had been carrying,
Yeah, for sure. I think it's actually such a good point because one of the things that I think has helped me the most throughout like my career, first at Pinterest and Accenture, and then also going into the ESN, moving countries, all of that, is there's like a famous saying, which is you should have strong convictions, but loosely held. And I think right now with everything that's going on in the world, it's never been more like prevalent. And having that ability is what allows people to push forward. Because if you think about it, like I'm sure everyone who's in this space realizes what you thought you could do 6 months ago is very different from what you could do now. Like all these things that people are building, almost you have to, there's like the sunk cost fallacy, right? Where it's like we've invested time and effort into building something. And so because people are like halfway through it, they don't want to like let it go. They want to see it all the way through because they've put this time and effort in. And that's almost like the trap that exists now is you have to be willing to almost humble yourself and part ways with things so much quicker than before because things are moving so quickly. And if you hold on to old ways of doing things, then you're not going to succeed. And it's exactly what I had to do when I first came. Like I thought after, people are naive when they're young, but I thought after 2 years, like I'd learned everything about sales and marketing and this was going to be easy. And I just almost had to humble myself and be like, no, the times have changed. This is a different situation, and you have to be willing to start from ground zero and then build back up.
Yeah, I love that perspective.
Mm.
You've said marketing and sales are becoming like more similar. You've mentioned this. And from what you've seen, I'm curious, like what's something sales teams figured out a long time ago that marketing teams are still struggling with?
Mm. Yeah, interesting. I think I think they're actually almost the exact same thing if you think about it. Like I actually have even a further view, which is I think that sales and marketing not only are similar, but just running a business in general is all sales. And my friends sometimes make fun of me for saying that, but I generally think everything is sales within business and honestly within life as well. And so if you just take sales and marketing, at least the way that I look at it is fundamentally like sales, and the way that I was taught it is your ability to create a gap between where someone is right now and then where they want to go. And then it's you developing the trust between that person so that you can transfer your conviction and belief that you can help them to them as well. So you need to be able to show that there is a gap between where they are and then provide them with the conviction that you're the one that can help solve them,
Yeah.
right? And then so if you take that all the way to the front end on the marketing side, it's still the same thing. Like people really only buy for two main reasons, which is they're trying to run away from something or they're trying to run towards something, run away from pain or run towards a dream outcome that they have. And without getting even more technical in it, with like what I learned in sales was even within those two extremes, there's three reasons people fundamentally buy. Like if you just go down to like first principles of what makes people do like change anything, it's either they think that you can make them money from your product or service, they think that you can give them back time from the product or service, or the third one, which is the interesting one, which is you just make them feel good. Like you make them like they think that your product or service will make them happy or feel good in some way, right? So with sales, that's how you bring someone along the journey, and that's how you eventually close them. With marketing on the front end, it's really just about how do you start to create content and always have it within that framework and lens of, is this piece of content or is this marketing that we're doing showing that we can get them away from pain, or is it showing them that we can get them to a dream outcome? And you should be creating both. And then within those two streams, making content for how your product or service will either make them money, save them time, or make them feel good. That's kind of how I think about
That's
it.
a really sharp way of to frame it. And I had never thought about it that way, that similarities that you're pointing out, that they are basically, the same, but it makes so much sense. So much sense. And I think it can make it like even simpler, to see it that way.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And if you like the other exciting part, because this is where it's like people, including myself, and I have to train myself not to do this, try to complicate it too much and make it like very different. The prime example, which kind of reshaped my mind around this, is I always thought that like me just being a salesperson, I always thought sales is more like important than marketing. And now I think marketing is more important than sales. But the reason why it shifted was I always thought for like larger products and services, like if you're talking, thousands, 10,000s, high ticket items, you always need a salesperson to help bring someone along that journey and convert them. Then I realized that I never would have thought in my whole life that you would ever be able to check out and buy a car online. And yet today in this world, you can go onto Tesla's website and you can literally add to cart and check out a Tesla on their website. No salesperson, no show. Like I'm sure when you were younger and when I was younger, it's like the process is you go to the car dealership, they give you the whole sales pitch, and they hard close you into buying the car and they sell you the dream. Whereas now you can literally check it out online. Why does that exist? And I started to think about the reason that exists is because Elon and Tesla and that whole entire brand, they have built such good brand and marketing that you don't need sales. Like you literally don't need sales because you've been able to front end that creation of value and the ability to trust them that you don't need the salesperson anymore.
That's crazy. Oh my God. Blew my mind a little bit because you are so on point. Like, absolutely. First of all, I didn't even know that you could buy a car online, but it just makes so much sense that Tesla would you'd be able to do that there,
100%. Yeah. It's because it's like so much that there's just so much trust in the market with Tesla now, and the way people talk about it is is crazy that you don't even think, like, you don't require someone to help bring you along that journey. You make that decision from everything around you.
That's insane. Oh my God. The power of
Yeah.
the brand, you know? Oh my God.
Crazy. Yeah. Yeah. 100%. It's the most powerful um thing. And early on I actually used to, like, it's just, I hate to like look back at, because at each point in my journey there was reasons why I believed certain things, and everyone has reasons why they believe certain things. But looking back, I almost like think to myself, I'm like, why did I not put more emphasis on brand, when now I'm like so convicted that that is the only differentiator between a lot of these companies is their brand. Like, that's everything.
Oh, oh my God.
Yeah.
It's a good comparison. Wow. Um,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like moving on to, you know, this crazy new world and AI and all this new things that are coming up. Like you are actively building an AI driven marketing machine right now. I'm
Mhm.
curious, at what point do you think adding more AI stops increasing leverage and starts creating noise or fragility?
Mm. What a great question. Honestly, actually, a really good question. Because it's something that I'm battling with right now. I would say that if you haven't, like, people think that AI is going to replace what they do, and I actually think it's going to start to go on the other extreme, which is if you're asking AI to literally take over the whole entire brain and the execution of marketing, sales, operations, product, whatever the case may be. Like, it's not just marketing. Um, then it's definitely just going to create noise, because you're essentially, like, everyone's just going to have the same thing then, because AI is built on a model, and depending on the model that you use, it's got frameworks and systems that it uses to create that. So everyone's just going to go start moving towards this like baseline where everything's going to look the same. And that's what you see out there when people talk about like AI slop, is that everything literally looks the same now, right? And so I think it's going to get even more and more important, where it's like, don't get me wrong, I use AI to the extreme. It's what I use every single day, all day. But what I've had to realize over time is that my ability to think strategically and my ability to actually allow the AI to focus on the execution and give me more time to focus on the strategy is what makes the AI powerful. Whereas if you're just looking to do like a like for like, just replace my job, it's not going to do that. It's how do you get leverage from yourself? Because the exciting part about AI, in my opinion, is that in the past, people have always hired to get themselves leverage. And then with hiring, it's now there's multitude of reasons, right? It's like, okay, is this person available? How good are they? Are they someone that can pick up our systems quickly? How good's our training to get this person upskilled into being part of our team? Whereas with AI, it's like all those excuses now go out the door, where it's you are the trainer, you are the hirer, the baseline level of skill of AI, depending on the model you use, is the same. And so I'm more look at this as, if you just get it to replace you, that is where it's going to get downhill. If you look at this as the first time in history where you can almost leverage yourself and it's up to you how well it works out, that's what is exciting with marketing.
Oh, that's such a grounded take, and I think I we discussed this on our previous call. I mentioned something that a past guest had said about AI, that we are the chefs and AI is the sous chef. You know.
Yeah, yeah, 100%, 100%. Because you, like, I mean, it's such a, it's a bit of like a trite thing to say. Like, it's been said quite a bit, but you are still the reason why AI creates what it creates. It's just you're giving it the direction, right? So it's what the end output is. If you don't like the end output, it's on you. It's not on. It's
Yeah.
not on. You can't get mad at ChatGPT or Claude or whatever the case may be. And that's why it's like all these people, and this is where people need to start, because I'm sure everyone starts to think it's like there's this fear mongering around why would people buy your product or service because they could just use AI to do it. And the way that I always like to kind of reframe, well, going back to sales and marketing, like if someone was to come to our product or service and be like, why would I buy your financial AI model or service? I would just tell them it's completely fair enough, but you can learn technically how to do heart surgery using AI right now, but you're not going to get AI or a robot to do your heart surgery because it doesn't know, like, you don't know what are the questions to ask it. So you don't actually know how to mold that AI to get to the end outcome, which hasn't changed. So you're no longer paying people for the execution. You're paying them for the strategy. You're paying them to know what are the things to ask and how to get them where they want to go.
Absolutely. And there's this like idea that AI will handle execution, but in your
Mhm.
experience, where does human judgment become more important, not less, as
Mhm.
systems start to get smarter?
Yeah, yeah. I think with the human judgment aspect, it's ensuring that you're actually starting to look more forward thinking and the strategy, right? Because if you think about fundamentally with AI right now, it's built on data. Data is what's, you could almost think about it as like the past, like what's happened in the past. So it can go research across like you could ask it, go find me the top 10 people in my vertical or my niche and find me all the great content that they put out, and then let's replicate that content so that we get great output, right? So that's like you're looking at from what's worked in the past, how can we then relate that to our business, and then getting it to recreate that. It's great at that. It does it for pretty much everything. The issue is that AI to date is not good at being able to see the future, seeing what's actually coming next, right? And you could make the argument that it could do that using the data that it has, but that I think at the moment still is the human edge and the human element is our ability to know or have a look at like what's around the corner. So right now, for example, TikTok came up in the last couple of years and like video content has become the new big thing. Streaming, for example, like having people engage with you over a long podcast. Podcasts weren't as huge a while ago. So it's about knowing what is coming around the corner is, my opinion, going to become way more important than what it currently was, which is just looking at what works and then replicating that because now everyone's going to be able to do
Yeah, absolutely. I loved how you broke that down. I think that was a solid answer.
that.
And like when you're orchestrating AI systems for marketing, I, I'm curious,
Mhm.
what's a subtle skill or instinct that separates someone who gets average outputs from someone who builds something truly effective?
Yeah, such another really good question actually, because it's what I'm actively trying to focus on right now. I think the biggest learning, there's two parts, which is people are trying to take the lazy route, and I'm not saying this is a bad thing because I tried to do it initially myself as well, but people are trying to take the lazy route, which is getting AI to almost build the workflow, build all the steps required in the workflow, and then have one AI to do that whole entire workflow for you now. So you just want AI to basically replace what you're having to do, which is where you get pretty lousy results and unstandardized. So my pathway, and I think what I've seen work for other people as well, is doing the unsexy work of standardizing the processes that already exist. Because in a company, even in a marketing team, everyone still has, like, it's still based on individual brilliance. People have certain ways about doing things versus other people. They have different processes. They have different ways about like how they even come to the decisions they do. Like, are we going to make this piece of content versus that piece? Are we going to scale ads? When are we going to scale ads? Like, there isn't a standardized process a lot of the times of like how you make the decisions you make. And so what happens is if you just stick AI on top of that, you're just basically converging more and more within your company or within yourself within what the outputs are. Whereas if you can go a step backwards, and this is how you actually get the real power of AI and stop being dependent on unicorn talent, is if you can standardize, okay, what are the decisions we make and why we make them in each individual workflow. Like we'll use one for example. So we'll use, for example, we can go creating a blog, like just as an example. The creating of a blog, there are so many mini steps that go into the end output. First, you need to figure out, okay, who is this blog going after? Second, what state of mind are we finding them in? Are we finding them in like an educational state of mind? Are they looking for tactical tips? Are they looking for something to like reframe their mindset, whatever the case may be? Now you need to figure out, okay, now that we've gone there, what are the different channels that we're going to push the blog out? Once you have that, it's okay, now how are we going to structure the blog? Then it's the tone of voice. Like there's so many elements to the blog until you get to the end output. And long-winded way of saying that what you essentially need to do is do the boring work of standardizing what are all those different steps that get you to the end output of the blog and figure out how do you normally make those decisions as to like which route we're going to go down. And then the final part is breaking that up and getting AI to create different skill sets for each step, not for the blog, for each step of the blog. Because if you just do the blog, that's how you get variance in like, because it starts to hallucinate still and it goes a little bit crazy. Whereas if you can get really close to define each step and turn that into a skill, now you get really real consistency, and now you can start to scale like those A+ players or yourself as the business owner.
Ooh, that's such a strong like distinction, and I can tell you've put a lot of thought to all of this.
Yeah. It's from experienced pain, to be honest. It's more how like most things come up, it's just like you have to kind of live through it, and like everything that I say is because I have done it. So it's like it's not from like a place of like, oh, I woke up and this is exactly. It's like, no, it's exactly what I had to do, and it's what we're doing in our business, even from like the operations standpoint.
I love it. And like you mentioned on our previous call that products are becoming easier to build and that distribution is what's left. So how does that shift change what good branding even means going forward?
Yeah, yeah. Another good question. I would say that. So I always, again, I like to look at like I let history kind of frame how I think about things today, because because people always people think that everything's very different, and yes, it is a different time. This is uncharted territory, for example, like AI and all that type of stuff. But in saying that we have been alive for many years, and things have worked in a certain way for many years, and I would be surprised if it changes how it worked, right? So if you go back, however far you want to go back in business, branding, as we mentioned before, has always been the differentiator. The prime example, similar to the Tesla one, that really stuck with me when I heard it first is, so I bought actually this T-shirt, the white one underneath, from Uniqlo. So Uniqlo obviously is very, so common Uniqlo T-shirt, right? The Uniqlo T-shirt, I think this was $20, $25, something like that. It feels great. It has great quality. But the difference between this T-shirt and a Gucci T-shirt, which is, let's say, $200, that whole delta of $180 is literally just Gucci's brand. Like the products are more or less the same. And what happened is two things happened over time. One, the access for the manufacturers to get really good quality products became cheaper. So everyone started to have really good products in their T-shirts. And then the ability for that manufacturer to get it to someone like Uniqlo or get it to someone like Gucci almost started to become like negligent as well, because everyone could now transport things at a very cheap cost. So you had the cost of manufacturing become cheaper, and you had the cost of transporting the product become cheaper. Yet there's such a big delta between the two products. And literally the only reason between that is how you think about Gucci and how you think Gucci will make you feel perceived compared to Uniqlo. Now, obviously, I don't care about brand, but you get the point, right? Which is that brand over time has always stayed as the differentiator. And so tech is actually a lot newer than people think it is. And if you think of fundamentally, there was laptops first and computers, whatever the case may be, iPhones, for example. And then those kept getting better and better, and the more and more you could do with them. Social media came out, all of that. Now we've entered into the era of AI and technology. And over time, all that's happened is iPhones have become technically cheaper to produce and to ship. Computers have social media ads have technically, hypothetically, are actually cheaper to display. With AI, it's going to take everything to the extreme where you can create product and service at such a cheap cost, essentially, compared to having to have people build it, that all that will be left is amazing products and services for everyone. And so, if you go long in this, the same thing that's happened with every other type of a business and big evolution that's happened, I think will happen with AI, which is the thing that will be left is your reputation and your brand. That's it.
Oh my God, that was such a strong answer. I loved it.
I love the way that you hype up my answers. This is great.
I love how you tied history with this. I mean, I could not agree more that it can be such a powerful tool, to learn and to see what not to do, what to do, what worked in the past, what didn't, the patterns. I mean, that was so good. You explained it fantastic.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I think the other tip that has kind of helped me a lot with thinking about these things is like going back to like first principles, which is history if you really think about it. Because I love, like, the reason I got into sales, also part of the reason why I got in and stayed in sales, was I love psychology, and psychology is just another element of first principles, which is going back to fundamentally, why do people make the decisions they make, and why do things occur in life and humanity? And yeah, I just think like I'm guilty of this at times as well, which is like thinking that we're special and that we have like a very unique situation and a unique life and whatnot. When you really like extract all of it, it's like, no, the things that are happening now have happened many, many times before. It just look different. And so the way to calm yourself down is just realize it's like, okay, it's a different stimulus, but what's actually going to occur is probably going to be more or less what's occurred every other time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
And you're in the middle of building this everything, while the landscape is still shifting. So how do
Yeah.
you decide what's worth systematizing? I don't know if I said that correctly.
Systemizing. No, that's great. That's good. We're getting there. Trust me, I mispronounce all the times. They're good.
So what's worth system
System. Okay, now you got me. Now you got me messing it up. Systemizing. Systemizing. I feel like we're both now. I'm confused how to say it as well.
because it's written differently than you say it. It's written systematizing.
Yes.
So it's systemizing versus what should stay manual and intuition driven,
Interesting. Yeah. What should stay with human intuition and not be systemized?
Mhm.
I think it's similar. Yeah, similar to what I was mentioning before in the sense of, I think what makes you unique should stay unique. You should just use systemized processes to give yourself the leverage so you can do more of it, like do more of what you love to do, basically. Like that's the way that I think about it in the sense of, I don't like all the doom and gloom of AI and operationalizing everything. I actually think it's, how do you take that and get what you always wanted, or what most people say that they wanted to have? You can do that for the first time. And so I would take it as there's like the tactical route of like, how do you do this for business so that you can, grow your business and make money and whatnot. But I take it more of the route of, it's an exciting time where I would keep the human intuition and the parts that you love to do about something with yourself, and use the systems underneath that to allow you to do that for so many more people and help so many more people. Like I'll give you one example for myself. So this is me talking about it before I've actually done it, but I love talking about sales, growth, or everything we're talking about now, psychology, mindset, about like what's helped me get to where I am. And like some of my favorite times is me just like talking with, like, one of my best friends started his own company. And so we've been talking, and he's never done sales before. He's, just started his business. And so we spend a lot of time talking about just the mindset of being in an early stage company and what you kind of have to go through, but then also sales, marketing, the operational side of things. And that fires me up. It's probably my favorite time in the whole week, essentially. The other thing I love, and what I've loved throughout the whole career, is doing this, which is explaining what has worked for me and then explaining in a way where it can potentially help other people. Like that excites me as well. So the way that I'm thinking about AI in that is, this will always be like my thing, right? Like talking about it. However, how do I start to systemize everything after talking about it to be able to help more people? So how do I take the conversation with me and my best friend and feed that to other friends or people on the internet who might also value that? And how do I take that long form piece of content? And so I'm personally systemizing how to take the long form pieces of content and get it into short form, written or video, to push it out there so that I can have more leverage to just have more of those conversations, because that's what fires me up. So that's kind of like how I'm thinking about human intuition versus systemizing.
That's a lovely perspective. Like that's such a lovely take. Genuinely lovely. I never thought I could hear a lovely perspective on AI, but I just did.
Yeah. I'm glad that I could make AI seem genuine.
And
can I ask you a question back as well? I'm curious as well. Do you feel as if there's this kind of like negative connotation about AI, and do you kind of have that as well?
Well, I think I do definitely think there's this negative connotation, what you said about doom and gloom. It was like, yeah, absolutely. I think I even made like a mental image when you said that, of like AI and just like clouds surrounding it, and just like the apocalypse, basically. And
Yeah.
because it
Yeah.
is scary, and it's so new, and we've never witnessed anything like this ever before. And
Hmm.
what you hear, that it's taking so many jobs, and that you're like basically in this race, right? Because there are so many like professions that don't that are like not needed anymore, and you hear all of this. I personally, for me, I'm not scared, because like I'm a storyteller, I feel like this people interaction is always going to be needed, especially now more than ever. People are going to want this human connection. um,
Hmm.
but I loved your take in how it can help, so many people. And I feel like it's all about perspective, and that the glasses, there's this quote that I love, that your perspective is the passport that will take you wherever you want to go. And if you have like a super
Hmm.
negative perspective, then your passport will take you to horrible places, or negative places. But if you put on your rosy colored glasses and try to see the world in just an optimistic way, I feel like it will take you to lovely places, and you will see the world, and the world will reflect back that light to you. Um, so yeah,
Yeah.
that's sort of my perspective.
I actually love that because I often say something similar, but I'm going to start stealing that one. So what was it? It was perspective is the passport to where you want to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, like my version of like what I would normally say that is some people think that life happens to them, and then other people think that life happens for
Yeah.
them, which is like another way of basically saying how people frame their minds. I'm going to steal your one. That's actually great. But like I actually could not agree more. And if we keep the theme of history and with AI, it's no different in the sense of the people that will really make the most of this. Like a lot of people think like, oh, it's just going to be these big corporations that are going to, like use this to their advantage. And yes, there definitely people, there are people losing their jobs for sure. And I do have
Yeah.
empathy towards those peoples, but I actually still think that you can flip it into this is the most exciting time because it's actually the time in life where you have the power to go build whatever you want and do more of what you love to do. And that's exciting. And you should like not to prescribe what people should do. I would more look at this in the way of this is the time period where you can either accept that this is just happening and just be upset that this is happening, or you could realize that whether we like it or not, today, like AI is only going to get smarter from today. Like it's not gonna start to get dumb, right? So it's only going to get better. How can you flip this into something that's going to benefit you and allows you to do more of what you want to do? And yeah, take it as a benefit and take it as a win. And I love that you brought it up because I think that the two hardest things to learn is reframing your mindset, and that above everything else, it's a meta skill, meaning like forget sales, forget marketing, forget AI, like ability to reframe is what's going to allow you to unlock those other skills. And then the second part is ability to sit in uncertainty, which is at its absolute peak, right? Like it is, everything is changing every single month. And so if there's two things that people I think should like even spend more time on figuring out how to learn, because they are skills, reframing and sitting in uncertainty, is those two, because those will allow you to do everything else.
Oh my God, I felt that answer in my soul. Like literally, that's the best answer I've ever heard, and ever. Like I couldn't agree more. In a really,
Mhm.
really profound level, I identify so much with that. Reframing your mindset and sitting in uncertainty. Like that is the skills that you should have and master above everything else. Really, like what
Yeah.
is marketing and sales when you have those skills mastered? Truly. Couldn't agree more.
Is is but I need you in my daily life to hype me up after every. It's great.
It can be like your personal motivation.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Sorry, yeah, you were saying?
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. Like this answer, this just conversation truly has like started. I feel like it lit a fire inside of me in the best way possible, and that's it's just the best way a podcast could go. Truly.
100%. I love that. I love that. It's like I told you before, that brings me happiness as well, in the sense of like I just think that yeah, it's a really tough time at the moment. I do acknowledge that. And like I have it too. Like I say all these things, but it's a constant battle every day where you're just like having to humble yourself, relearn something, reframe how you think about things. But yeah, like it's if everyone, in my opinion, if everyone just started to take more of the what can I control and take back that control and stop putting that control outward and onto other, like in other people's hands, you get to sculpt the life. You get to take the perspective and go with the passport wherever you want to go. Like that is by and large above everything else, because who knows what's going to happen? Like who knows what AI is going to look like? Who knows what sales and marketing will look like, what business will look like? But if you can have that perspective that you, whatever situation you get put in, you'll be able to reframe yourself out of that. And however uncertain you are in that moment, you've now developed the reps of going through it and being able to sit uncertainty, then it doesn't really matter what happens, because you'll figure it out. And that's empowering.
Yeah.
Gets you excited.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And just to close, in a bit of a more like reflective tone, even more so than we had just did. Like I always like to ask, like, what are some brands right now that you think are doing like a cool job that you are admiring right now?
Ooh, very interesting. Actually, I haven't thought about that that deeply. Okay, some brands that I really find interesting. Okay, I'll give you one for sure. Anyone who's close to me knows that I'm obsessed with what they've done and just love what they've built, which is, have you heard of Alex Hormozi?
Alex Hormozi?
Alex Hormozi, yeah. Okay, so he's kind of like, he came up as one of these, I guess, like business gurus, but I think he's obviously grown into a lot more than that. But he has a company called acquisition.com, and what they've built around the whole acquisition.com and what he's built with his personal brand is insane. Like he helps small to medium businesses with scaling. So everything about running a business basically. And going back to everything we talked about before with brand and with product and everything like that, the amount of trust that he's built with his market, because the amount of value that he's given out there for free, I've never seen someone develop that quickly a brand as he has, where like Apple, Amazon, all these things, they've built over many, many years and they've built huge. But what he's done in the past couple of years, starting with his personal brand and giving out so much free value to the point where, like, even people like myself, he's gone super long where he helps people who aren't even his target customer from the ground up, where it's like, even me personally, if I was to ever have a business down the line, like my own business, and wanted to partner with someone, he's one of the first people where I would go to, just because the amount of value he's delivered to me. So yeah, long-winded answer of, I think the brands that really excite me and the ones that I kind of look up to are the ones who have, you can almost see like you've seen how they've built it and they've given it all away for free. Like that's what excites me. And that's what I kind of want to start doing as well, which is, just give out to the world and give good and just trust that will get you where you want to go.
I love that. I absolutely love that. Dev, this was such a great conversation. Like, you're incredibly thoughtful in how you approach all of this, and it really shows. I feel like there's so much clarity in the way you think about growth and systems and where things are heading. So I really appreciate you taking the time to share all of that. Thank you. This was like genuinely such a joy and pleasure. Thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. And thank you very much for having me. And you asked amazing questions, and it's definitely one of the most fun conversations I've had. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
I'd love to hear that.
You've been listening to Fully Managed, brought to you by Penji. Check out the show notes to learn more about today's guest. And to learn more about Penji, the human-first creative subscription service, head over to penji.co. And by the way, if you're still listening, it would mean the absolute world to us if you were to share this podcast with a friend and, of course, subscribe.